Hi, everybody. It's Mike from Here, the Watchman, and I'm excited this morning to have our guest with us today. We're going to talk about some interesting stuff. He is the face of SkyWatch TV. He is a prolific researcher and writer. I mean, he writes about stuff that I can't even pronounce. Israel tours, and has the Gilbert Family Fellowship or Gilbert House Fellowship that he and his wife Sharon do each week. And we're just happy to have Derek Gilbert with us today. Derek, thanks for joining us.
Mike, it's an honor to be here. Thank you very much.
Derek, you've had like a wild year. I mean, as a matter of fact, folks, there is an anniversary to mention of this book right here. You can get it at SkyWatch TV. Just go there, get it on Amazon. The Day the Earth Stands Still, which Derek and Josh Peck co-authored. It's a wonderful book. Just happened to have it here in our library. And I wanted to give a mention of that. What is it? How was that book done? What kind of response have you seen?
Well, it's interesting because, Josh and I thought that with the WikiLeaks revelations from Hillary Clinton's campaign chair, John Podesta, revealing his deep interest in the possibility of extraterrestrial life and the efforts by the late NASA astronaut, Dr. Edgar Mitchell, to reach out to John Podesta and through him get to Barack Obama to try to tell him about what Dr. Mitchell called aliens from the contiguous universe that he described as in different categories of extraterrestrials, some that were friendly, some that were unfriendly. We thought there would be more interest in the book than there has been. In addition, I thought the haymaker in the book, there were a couple, that being one, the other being the documented links that we showed of the modern and very popular ancient alien hypothesis, which is now generated 12 seasons of a series on the History Channel, one of its more popular series, and made guys like Giorgio Tsoukalos and David Wilcock and Eric Von Daniken into international superstars, showing that the ancient aliens hypothesis that they promote, they are in effect apostles or evangelists for this new religion. But we show the documented links that it comes straight out of the occult teachings of the 19th century from Helena Blavatsky, Aleister Crowley, and filtered through the horror fiction of H.P. Lovecraft. I mean, really, what Von Daniken did when he wrote Chariots of the Gods in the late 1960s was he repackaged the fiction of H.P. Lovecraft, which was inspired by Crowley and Blavatsky, Theosophy and Thelema. And it's become, over the last 50 years, a new religion. Between Von Daniken and Zecharia Sitchin, who repackaged the religion of ancient Mesopotamia, the ancient Sumerians, there are literally millions of people around the world who believe that the Earth is being visited by astronauts from other universes, other galaxies anyway, who were mistaken for the ancient gods. In so doing, they deny the reality of the Bible, the history that's recorded in the Bible, and the fact that God calls these entities gods. So by repackaging the gods of the ancient world, the pagan deities worshipped by the Mesopotamians, the Babylonians, the Amorites, the Canaanites, the Greeks, the Romans, as astronauts from other worlds, you deny the truth of the Bible. But then they turn around and say that these entities will be the source, there are guides to a new era of spiritual enlightenment as we evolve into the next phase, into humanity 2.0. So at the same time, they're denying the truth of the Bible, while at the same time repackaging these ancient astronauts as our saviors. It's there in the book, and we thought it would really wow the Christian community, but Christians in general, I guess, think that it's just too weird to deal with. And of course, the UFO community doesn't want to hear it because it denies their worldview too. So we think it's an important book. We're proud of it. Would like to see it get more attention because when you look at the raw numbers, Mike, there are more people in America today who believe that the world is being visited by extraterrestrials than believe in God as he's defined in the Bible.
Well, wow, that's that's interesting. I am too surprised that it didn't get more attention. What's the easiest way for people to get it?
Well, through SkyWatchTVStore.com, but it's available through Amazon, and it's available as a Kindle book, ebook as well. So if you're overseas and you're thinking, okay, if I send away to America for this book, it's going to take forever to get here and I got to pay shipping. You can get it right away, instantly, at a reasonable price through Amazon, and read it on your ebook reader, your Kindle, your iPad, your Android tablet, your phone, whatever. We've documented it thoroughly. The research is not coming from Christian sources either. So this is not, information that's been slanted and filtered. This is coming from skeptics and from occultists themselves, who show the links between Crowley and von Daniken, and it's a straight line connection. It's very clear. So, and we also get into some Bible prophecy as well, because we think there's obviously a spiritual war taking place, and this is a key aspect of it. So, but there's a great deal available on it, along with a number of other resources that are very important. If you go through the website, officialdisclosure.com, we've got the link directly there. Officialdisclosure.com will take you right to it.
That's fantastic. Go there, folks. Let's get it done. Get Derek and Josh's book. Help support them on all the work that they do. Now, Derek, as I mentioned, you've had an incredible year. Certainly, one of the high points was when you spoke at Hear the Watchman Dallas last year, and in Long Island, New York. Talk about spiritual warfare. And you're going to be back this year in Dallas, Texas, March 28th through 31st. Where we are going to be sounding the alarm. Excited about having you, folks. We've secured the hotel. Our VIP packages are selling out very quickly this year, as are our regular tickets. You need to go to hearthewatchman.com. And when you're there, use the promotional code, Gilbert20. Receive $20 off the already low price for the early bird special tickets. So get busy, make your plans today. Derek, you speak at these conferences. You've been to Israel this year. You've been to some incredible places this year. What kind of a movement are you seeing within the remnant as we head into this next year?
Well, I think those who are awake recognize that we're in some very prophetic times. Our friend Pastor Carl Gallups, who will not only be at the Hear the Watchman conference in Dallas, but he'll be one of our co-hosts on SkyWatch TV's Tour of Israel coming in May of 2019. He's calling it, he called it with the title of his most recent book, Gods of Ground Zero. Ground Zero is Israel. And we're seeing a movement in Israel in the 70th year of Israel's independence, which was the fulfillment of prophecy, the reconstitution of the nation state of Israel, a drive to fulfill other prophecies. Now, as Christians, we understand we don't need a temple anymore. We don't need a temple because we don't need the physical sacrifices that were prescribed in the Old Testament under the law. We have had the one perfect sacrifice fulfilled once and for all time for all who claim Jesus Christ as Lord and Savior. So we don't need that, but we see in Bible prophecy that there is a temple that will be present because the Antichrist will put a stop to the daily sacrifices and oblations. So in order for the sacrifices to take place, there's got to be a place for the sacrifices to occur. And as we record this, Mike, in early December of 2019, the Sanhedrin just put out a call to the 70 nations. Now, there are more than 70 nations in the world, but that number, not only in the Bible, but in the ancient Near East in general. I mean, when you go back to ancient Mesopotamia 4,000 years ago, if you used the 70 nations or the 70 sons of El, you were saying all of them, the entire set, not one left out. So the Sanhedrin, which has been reconstituted in Israel, put out a call to the rest of the world to join them next Monday, December 10th, the final day of Hanukkah, for a ritual, a blessing, a consecration of the stone altar that they plan to install in the third temple. They've got the stone blocks that they plan to assemble into a 9-foot square by 5-foot high altar. Okay, it's ready to go. They can assemble it at a moment's notice once they have secured the ground. So this third temple movement is gaining steam. The Sanhedrin is putting out a call to the nations to participate in this, as long as we agree to observe the Noahide laws. Those were the laws that God sent down to Noah before giving the law, the full law, to Moses. So again, these prophetic things are taking place step by step, and that's one of the things that we'll be looking at when we go back to Israel in May. In fact, there's some projects that SkyWatch TV is working on that relate to this Third Temple movement that we can't talk about just yet. But boy, prophetically speaking, the days are drawing short as we approach the end of this, the end of the age.
You know, it's interesting, Derek. I interviewed Messianic Rabbi Zev Parat yesterday, and he talked about that. He's actually going there on the 10th.
Yeah,
and we're going to see him after that. You know, but he finds it earth-shattering that they've invited the 70 nations. I mean, he just all means and what's going to actually happen. But the mere fact that they even are doing that, he finds it just shaking. You know, the ground is shaking. So it's good stuff to pay attention to. It truly is. Now, there's some new stuff going on at SkyWatch TV. I mean, you guys have a major undertaking, a new studio going up. How's that coming along?
Well, we secured the building for literally pennies on the dollar. This was a building that somebody here in our small community in the Ozarks have been trying to offload and sell for quite some time. Didn't get any takers. He put it up for auction. Nobody bid on the building at the auction. And so Tom Horn went to this gentleman and said, okay, well, we've kind of established the demand, the level of demand for this building you want to get rid of. It was formerly owned by a propane dealership here in town. It's got a big Quonset hut next to it that they used for maintenance on their equipment, and it's huge. So getting it for literally pennies on the dollar has given us the space. Now we're in the process of asking for support to help build the studio itself. And we've got a program that will broadcast across the country next week, the network SkyWatch TV broadcast, in which we share some information about how that's coming along and how people can participate and become part of what is taking place here. We're looking for more flexibility in the studio. The studio that we're in right now, that I'm talking to you from, is very news oriented, but we like something that would allow for a little more of a conversational, more of an organic look to it, and allow us to do some different things and involve more people in the programs. So that, and as well as making space for a studio audience, because we get requests all the time for people who would like to come here when we bring in a special guest like a Jonathan Kahn or a Carl Gallups or a Colonel Bob McGinnis or a Dr. Michael Heiser would like to be here and watch the studio taping. We just don't have the room here, besides the fact that we're attached to the Defender Publishing warehouse. And so you've got to dodge forklifts and stuff, which is not really something the insurance underwriters want. So the new studio will have space for a studio audience, as well as this larger and, I think, more organic look to the studio. So keep an eye out. The new program for SkyWatch TV will begin broadcasting on Sunday, the 9th of December. And we'll have some information about how you can contribute and be a part of helping make this a reality.
Now, in your spare time, which I can't imagine you have any of, you and Sharon have the Gilbert House Fellowship. Talk to us about that a little bit.
It's a weekly Bible study. We started doing this about 4 years ago because people were coming up to us at conferences and asking for advice on where they could find a good church that teaches Bible verse by verse. And we only know the little geographic area that we're a part of. So we thought, well, how about if we just do it ourselves? And so we take about an hour to an hour and 15 minutes on Sunday mornings. We will record a section of scripture. We're going through the Bible in chronological order, in the order of the stories in which they were written. So the order is not what you'll find inside your Bible. For example, we started with Genesis 1 and got up to Genesis 10, which is the Tower of Babel incident. And then we skipped to the book of Job, because chronologically in history, Job came before Abraham. And then we go back to Genesis 11 and begin with Abraham and his story. So that's kind of the way it went. And it makes for some really interesting observations, because when you get into the books of Samuel and Kings and Chronicles, you have the story of David, but then you overlay those with the Psalms that David wrote. And you get an idea of what led to some of these Psalms and what was in David's mind and his heart when he was on the run from Saul, or when his son Absalom rebelled against him. So it's really an interesting analysis. And by bringing some of the historical research that we've been doing over the last couple of years for books like The Great Inception and Last Clash of the Titans, this divine council worldview, this idea that the pagan gods of the ancient world are real entities, fallen angels, if you will, but they presented themselves to the pagan world as gods, were worshipped as gods. You understand then that many of the things in the Bible are written as responses to what the pagan nations had been deceived into doing and believing by these rebellious Elohim, these rebel angels who've rejected the authority of God. And so that's available at gilberthouse.org, gilberthouse.org, every Sunday. We've also got a free mobile app. So just to make it easy, you can access the entire archive through the mobile app as well, which is available for iOS devices or Android devices. But you'll find that linked, the App Store links at gilberthouse.org.
That's amazing. You guys are doing, excuse me, great work there.
Thank you.
And get on board, folks. It's you can see the announcement on Facebook. It's all over the place. GilbertHouseFellowship.org. Or is that correct? GilbertHouseFellowship.org.
GilbertHouse.org.
GilbertHouse.org. Yeah. So get out there and get busy and avail yourself of that. Now, Derek, what's in the pipeline for you now? I mean, we know you have the Israel trip coming up. I know you'll be at Hear the Watchman. What's coming up? We have some new books to talk about.
Yeah, Sharon is working real hard on her new novel, which is Realms of Fire. That will be the 5th novel in her Red Wing Saga series, the follow-up to Realms of Stone. That should be available before Christmas. I'm in the process of writing a book tentatively titled Bad Moon Rising. It approaches the influence of Islam on the modern world with the my thesis here behind this book is that Islam represents the supernatural equivalent of a corporate merger. And this actually came out of one of the presentations I gave at Hear the Watchman. This was the Hear the Watchman presentation in Boise, which was the weekend of the total solar eclipse. I thought, okay, well, let's do something with the astronomical thing that we're going to be witnessing here this weekend. And so I took a look at Islam and the characteristics of that religion, and it dawned on me that the major gods of the pagan world, the ancient world, are all represented in these various facets of Islam. So that's what I'm working on right now. That should be available spring or summer of 2019. Not quite sure when, but I'm working to try to get it done by the end of the year. It might bleed over into January because there's a lot of there. But you find that when you there are a couple aspects of this that I think I hope people will take away. And one is that Islam has had a much greater influence on Western history than we realize. I mean, think about this, Mike. In 1683, okay, we've had, by 1683, Europeans have been colonizing North America for nearly a century. Some of my ancestors had been in the United States or the colonies by that point for almost 50, 60 years by that point. But in 1683, the Islamic forces of the Ottoman Empire were at the gates of Vienna, Austria, and almost destroyed Vienna. They were saved at the very last minute by a relief army led by the King of Poland. But, 1683, for 1,000 years, travel across the Mediterranean Sea, which had been the main source of transportation of goods and services and art and literature and culture, had basically been cut off because it was too dangerous. The very first war fought by the United States of America in the last part of the 18th century, I mean, before George Washington had even been, sworn into office, we began this war, was against Muslims because they were capturing ships and enslaving American sailors. So this is something we're not often taught in the West, and yet it's part and parcel of the religion. There is no separation of church and state in Islam. And I think it goes back to the resurrection. As Paul wrote, if the archons, the powers, the rulers of this age had understood what God was doing, they would not have crucified the Lord of glory. Jesus' death on the cross was required. I think that caught these principalities and powers off guard. And I think in a desperation play, they've sort of pooled their resources, created this new religion. And right now, Islam is on track to become the world's largest religion within the next 50 years. if the Lord tarries.
It's amazing what's going on, out there, and I keep reading more and more about that. I'll be particularly interested in that book once it comes out. I've got something here for you. You will shortly be getting one of these in the mail. This is Jeannie's Toffee. It's that time of year where she is in the kitchen cooking toffee like 24/7, and I'm packing toffee or trying to help clean up after making toffee. It's just that time of year. Folks, if you want to get some of Jeannie's Toffee, you got to act quick. We're going to close the toffee cooking operations down on December 15th. If you want it by Christmas, you need to get your order in so that we can ship it there and have it to you. Go to honesttogoodnesstoffee.com. She has different packages up there that you can check out. And I mean, we actually got Sharon Gilbert to try a piece. I mean, which was, I think was, it was as if God had come into the room. We were dying to get Sharon Gilbert to try it, and she did try it, and she loved it. And I know Derek sneaks it when we send it to him.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. In fact, that's the only reason Tom Horn lets us attend and speak at the Hear the Watchman conferences, is if we promise to bring back Jeannie's Toffee. So, but seriously, it is the best toffee we have ever tasted. It's just that, if we ate as much toffee as we would like, we were just watching some video, Mike, from SkyWatch TV in 2015, when Sharon was 110 pounds heavier and I was about 45 pounds heavier, and was like, who are those people? But having said that, I will say that Jeannie's Toffee is made in a way that is a lot healthier than the stuff you're going to buy over the counter at your local grocery store. So, yeah, not only is it delicious, she makes it in a way that's actually very healthy.
And I appreciate you saying that. And folks, all the proceeds from Jeannie's Toffee go back into supporting Hear the Watchman and our ministry so that we can continue to bring you the conferences across the country and unite as the remnant body and a family. I mean, Hear the Watchman conferences, and I think, Derek, you can echo this for me, have become almost like giant family reunions, haven't they?
Absolutely. Absolutely. That's one of the things that we really appreciate about these conferences. I mean, going and hearing preaching and teaching from the likes of Dr. Michael Lake, Mike Spalding, Pastor Mike Spalding, Pastor Casper McLeod, Michael Boldea, and so on and so on, Pastor Carl Gallups. I mean, that's an incredible thing. But getting together with other people who understand that there's more going on here than what we see on Fox News or read and, Drudge Report. Okay, that's what's happening in the physical realm. But we're part of a broader conflict. Reality is a lot richer than what we can actually see with our eyes and hear with our ears, perceive with our natural senses. And this is where we get together with other people who understand that. And there's a power in that and a comfort in that, knowing that we're not alone out there. People around us may look at us like there's something wrong, but there's like I said, a strength in gathering together and edifying and encouraging one another that takes place at the Hear the Watchman conferences. And so I think that aspect of it is at least as important as the information that you get from the preaching and teaching.
Well, it's amazing how friendships are forged. I mean, from people all over the world. I mean, there's people from New Zealand that come, Australia, of course, the UK. We've had people from Nova Scotia, Finland. It's crazy. And you forge friendships with those people. So go to hearthewatchman.com. Use that promotional code, Gilbert20. Get yourself $20 off the already low ticket prices. We are really looking forward to seeing you there. Derek, it's a pleasure, as always, spending time with you. Please give our love to your beautiful wife as she's laboring away in there trying to get her book done. And keep up all the good work there at SkyWatch TV.
Well, Mike, we appreciate the work that you and Jeannie do. Say hello to Jeannie as well. We love her. We love you. And we're honored to be a part of this virtual extended family.
Amen. Well, folks, that's going to wrap it up for today. God bless each and every one of you out there. And remember, there's nothing that you can't do with Jesus in your heart, except nothing at all. So get busy, get out there, activate your faith, and make a difference in the world. God bless.